So on January 3rd, 2021, I bought a birdwatching site for an astonishing $20,160. At the time, it was making $604 a month, and right now it's making $791. So keep watching to know why I bought the site, what did I do to increase the revenue, and what are my plans for the future. Hey guys, welcome to my channel where I talk about making money online, everything from freelancing to website investing. And today, in this very first video of the channel, I'm gonna talk about one of my sites in the portfolio, and that is a bird watching site. So I won't be able to reveal the exact URL just because this industry is actually very competitive. As soon as you reveal the URL, you can expect a negative spam attack. You can expect competitors stealing your content, copying your content, using all the dirty tricks on the book to steal your rankings and steal your traffic. So while it would be really useful, however, I really can't reveal the URL because I plan to keep the site for the next 3 to 6 months. However, don't be disappointed. I will reveal absolutely everything else, from the reasoning why I bought the site, how much the site is making now, what did I do to increase the revenue, and what are my key learnings after owning the site for 10 months. So basically at the end of last year, 2020, I had a bit of cash lying around in the company's bank account, and the tax bill was sort of due, and I was like, hey, why don't I actually spend that money to buy an asset that will generate me revenue rather than just using cash to pay the taxes? I'd rather increase my assets and actually make money off that money rather than just giving it to the tax man. So I went to a couple of brokerages that I regularly check for good quality websites, and one particular site on motioninvest.com, one of the brokerages I use, has caught my attention. It was recently listed. It was quite an attractive buy. So I checked the listing. I really like Motion Invest because they actually provide quite a lot of details, and they also give you the URL so you can go and check that on Ahrefs. And here are basically the things that I really liked about this listing. So the first reason why I bought it was because it had a decent traffic. And a decent traffic for me is the traffic that is trending upwards, that has relatively good numbers of unique visitors and page views in relation to amount of content it has, and that it hasn't been hit by the Google algorithm. So this site has ticked all of these boxes. Also, it was in a relatively good niche. I mean, birdwatching, I never thought about having a site in birdwatching niche, but I figured that I like it because you don't really need to be like a huge expert in it, because it's a hobby niche. It's like DIY niche. Everybody's doing it differently. Everybody has their own opinion. It's not like some sort of medical niche where if you say something really bad, it may cost some people's life, right? So I don't mess with that when it comes to people's health. But bird watching, pretty innocent niche to be in, and I thought, okay, that's a good niche. Also, it's an evergreen niche, right? People are always gonna be watching birds. I think so, at least. That's my guess. So it was also good potential to add more articles because it only had 24 articles at a time and was generating pretty decent traffic for that. And I thought like, okay, it's only 24 articles and I can actually add, let's say, 100 more, and this way perhaps increase traffic and increase revenue. Then also had high engagement, which is unusual, for websites nowadays to actually have comments from real people writing comments specifically for that article. And usually lots of comment sections are now suffering from comment spam, from SEOs trying to build links, using generic comment techniques and stuff like that. Anyway, this site actually had real comments, not a lot of them, but every now and then they would receive a comment from a real person. And I thought that, okay, that's a good sign that the information on the site is interesting, and that's correct. Then good earnings RPM. So the earnings per 1,000 visitors was actually the best I've seen so far. So I figured, okay, so that's probably an indicator that people are quite passionate about this hobby and are ready to invest, and they also trust the information that was shared in that article in order to actually make a purchase using the link in that article. So the RPMs were really high. I can show you that later. Then also extra monetization opportunities. So that site was only monetized with Amazon affiliates, and I really like this kind of sites because if it has a decent traffic of, let's say, at least 10K visitors per month, I can add Ezoic or other display ads and immediately generate from 100 to 200 bucks per month, increasing my revenue. Then traffic spread of the articles was quite even. That means no single article was getting more than 10-15% of the traffic, which was nice. The keywords that it was ranking for were good commercial keywords like best bird watching gear something like that. It was an informational keyword, so I thought, okay, so it's ranking for commercial keywords. It means people who are looking for that information are in the mindset of buying. That means I can actually get revenue from Amazon affiliates if they buy something with my link. Also, it was built on expired domain. I'm sort of neutral with buying sites on expired domain because I never had experience with it, and I thought like, okay, why not? I might actually explore this one. So far the traffic numbers were good, so it seems to be more of an advantage rather than disadvantage. So these were my advantages that I've seen in purchasing the site. So the risk I saw, there were a couple of orange flags. There were no really like huge red flags in that site. That's why I bought it. But a couple of orange flags were that while the amount of content, 24 articles, were presenting a good opportunity to produce more articles, but at the same time, if I would lose a ranking in a couple of those articles, I won't have enough articles in the backup to potentially get me the rankings. Also, the content that was written was only the commercial content. And I know that writing only commercial content, so only like product reviews or A versus B kind of reviews and content, that increases a little bit of risk of algorithm updates, because if your review is actually worse than your competitors, you might tumble down the rankings and you'll have nothing to support your income with, and that's why only commercial content was great, because it was ranking for certain commercial keywords already in top 10 positions. But I also saw it as an orange flag where I thought, okay, I'm gonna need to produce a lot of info articles. Then the effect of seasonality. I wasn't sure whether bird watching is a hobby of all year round. I assume the birds migrate at certain times of the year. When they don't migrate, maybe they don't feed in public spaces as often. To be honest, I had no clue about this niche, as you can see. So I also had no clue about the effect of seasonality. And I had websites in seasonal niches before. While the high season peaks are really nice, but the low season lows are actually quite devastating, because you're like, hey, in November I'm earning $2,000 and in March I'm earning 350. Like these fluctuations are not very nice psychologically. And the final risk that I saw was that the traffic was young. That means that the last increase in the last 6 months, it almost, if I remember right, like tripled or quadrupled the traffic. And that means it was on a like very high rise, on an upward trend. But the traffic itself was young. It wasn't like it was generating traffic already for 2 years. I think it was around 1 year since the traffic was building up, meaning that it wasn't yet hit by the Google algo update. I wasn't sure how it's gonna react to different Google algo updates. So it wasn't seasoned yet. So that was a bit of the risk, and actually that ended up being a risk down the road, as you'll see. I decided that all of these advantages heavily outweighed the disadvantages. That's why basically within 30 minutes of looking at the site, I deposited $1,000 to acquire the site. And I did it really fast. First of all, because I'm that kind of a person, I really like to make quick decisions. Secondly, because there was actually a few weeks ago a site that I really liked, and I was like, okay, let me sleep on it. And I didn't even just before going to sleep, I checked it again, it was already sold. So I thought like, okay, this site I like, I better act fast. And that's what I did. So the transfer, the next step after I did $1,000 deposit, then we signed the agreement. I paid the rest of the sum, and then we were basically in this transfer process. It took around 2 weeks, to sign all the contracts, to get my access to the site, and so on. But after I've acquired the site, these are the actions I've taken with the idea to increase revenue and increase the value of the website. So here are the things I've done. First of all, I didn't change the site's design. Just a few months before acquiring that site, I made a mistake of changing the site's design, and that actually had a negative effect on the site's traffic, just because I've rearranged the content. I added more categories and so on and so on. So this time I was like, okay, the design is resonating, people are buying, the site's traffic is decent, the site speed is decent, so I'm not gonna change what's not broken. So I didn't change anything when it comes to design. I optimized the articles, but because the articles actually were not so optimized for conversion rate, that means that it didn't have like a comparison tables. The links, there were not, let's say, so many call to action buttons. There were not enough product pictures, in my opinion. So I did all of these standard optimization techniques. I can create a separate video about that if you wish. What do I do? What sort of strategies I follow? And shout out in the comments if you'd like to. And actually, I need to say, please like this video and subscribe to this channel. This is officially my first video. Anyway, coming back, what did I do to the site? So after I optimized the articles, I also added the AAWP plugin. That's basically a plugin that helps you to add the product tables into the articles, also helps with the Amazon international earnings. And I also added Ezoic as extra monetization channel. That was a big one because I was immediately generating roughly from 100 to 200 bucks a month from traffic that was already there, so that was like a free money just laying around. I just basically took me, no more than half an hour to add Ezoic, and that was generating me revenue. Obviously, that means that the people's experience, the user experience, was slightly different because they were starting to see ads, banner ads. And there's a huge debate to say, hey, I hate ads, I like ads. But as a website investor, that's the extra revenue channel. And I try to be rather non-intrusive with the ads, but still that generates money, that increased the value of the site. That's why I did it, and I was successful step. I also expanded the categories because, like I said, it was only basically reviews on a bird watching gear and things like feeders, that kind of stuff. So I also added info content about basically different topics in the industry. In total, I added 66 new articles, making a total of 90 as of recording of this video. So I basically quadrupled the amount of articles, and as you'll see, didn't have yet such a big effect, but what it really helped me is that I think it's let's say when the traffic could have been low because I lost certain positions on the old articles, the new articles has actually saved my butt and has kept the traffic either stable or a little bit high above the average line. So that new content is paying off. I plan to add more articles. I'm using different techniques right now. Potentially I'll get to the 150 and then I'll see what do I next with the amount of content I create. And I also built 20 links besides all the spam links I got, probably like hundreds of new spam links I got. I built actual 20 links that I paid for from different high domain rating websites. Yeah, so here are the results after owning the site of 10 months and doing all the things that I said. Okay, so here are the results, the actual financial results I had in the last 10 months. First, we can actually review the results prior to me. Actually, first of all, I'm very proud of myself that I'm keeping these records up to date, and they're quite granular. It really helps me to keep the pulse on every site I have. In the past, so like I said, I got the site from January 2021, right? So that's the past results I got from the previous owner, and that was the revenue he got previously. You can see that the June was the highest from the months I see here, and then sort of started to go down, and in December it went up again. The expenses I don't have because this is the income part, this is the expenses part, so I don't have his expenses, but so that's basically how much the site was earning then. Starting from January 21, I actually started, let's say, earning money from it around mid-January because that's, like I said, took around 2 weeks to do the whole migration. So only part of this revenue was mine, and that's why you can see Ezoic ads is only actually starting from February. But now this is how much it made in January, so a little bit, actually significantly 32% lower than in December, I guess all, Christmas season. But in February, it has sort of skyrocketed by 80%, the revenue month over month. So I was really happy about that. The traffic also went up. I'll show you in a minute how did the traffic do, in the last 12 months or so. And the March went down. April kept going down, but May recovered, and also it was the highest month for Ezoic ads for me, as you can see, because actually it was a peak in traffic. So the more traffic you get, the more ad revenue you can expect. Things are working out fine. So as you can see, May was great. Then June, 38% down. Then further 27% down month over month, and then August is basically stable. September down again, and luckily October is slowly going back up, with all the shopping season around the corner. November is actually doing pretty good so far. I mean, we have around 10 days passed, and pretty sure that I should be able to make this around 700-800 for sure in November, and then hopefully more in December. So in terms of operating expenses, the most of it actually went to the writers for the content, and also in the beginning here, it's when I did the outreach, link building campaigns. I don't put the VA costs, but I actually have people uploading the content, doing the changes, and so on and so on. But it's sort of resources from my agency, so I don't count them in. And so these are total operating expenses month over month. In the beginning I invested more, now it's slowly going down. So this is my EBITDA, right? So all like profit before taxes. Here I made this handy calculations for you guys, and I mean for myself primarily, to be honest. Total income I made with the site in 10 months was almost 8,000. The expenses around 3.5. So the total profit, just pure profit from how much income I got and how much I spent, was $4,391. So that's a pretty decent ROI, 21%, in 10 months. So maybe by the end of the year will be around 25%, which basically saying that my investment will pay for itself in 4 years. That's okay. That's not something crazy. That's basically expected ROI. It's not crazy performance. But I'm still happy nevertheless. If you look at other investing options on the market, this is pretty good. However, we go actually deeper, and because this number, it doesn't take into account of the asset appreciation. So 10 months of having the site, the average appreciation that I can expect is $4,654. So if you add these two figures together, you have a little bit over $9,000 profit so far in 10 months, which makes actually master return on investment around 45% in 10 months. So I expect it to be around 50% by the end of the year, meaning that I will basically make half of my money back already if I were to sell it today, right? Because this obviously is a little bit of the air money. This is like an assumption that I could get this value increase, but this is, from my experience, I'm pretty sure this is a realistic figure. It's not too pessimistic, not too optimistic. And here actually is the valuation. So I keep track on the potential valuation if I were to sell it right now. So that's the revenue for each month I've earned. And that's a trailing 6 months average and trailing 12-month average. And basically I'm using those here for 25 multiple, 30, 35, and 40 on different valuations. So basically right now, sort of realistic scenarios to sell it for around 35 multiple. So I would get it between almost 25 to, let's say, 25 and a half. That's the realistic increase, the price I could sell it for, obviously minus the brokerage fees. If I would use any brokers, the brokers usually charge around 15 to 20%. So that's basically before taxes, right? So plus the income tax and everything like that. So obviously this profit is before taxes, but I mean, hey, that's the game of investing. So overall, as you can see, it's actually quite a nice profit and nice numbers. However, you have to remember that this is high risk, high return game. That means that anything could happen. The traffic might tumble down, meaning my income will go down, meaning the valuation of the site will go down, right? Because right now, yes, I actually have earned so much money from this, but if the site would go down, that's basically, and I would be able to sell it for, let's say, 1,000, I would be deep in a hole. So it is high risk, high investment, and you actually capture the full profit once you sell it, once it's off your hands. Then you can say, hey, it was a good asset to have. I'm cashed out and I'm in the green right now. That's when it comes to financial results. Now traffic, here I have monthly traffic. These are unique users since April last year. That means that's before my time. This is January is my first month. So April, as you can see, around 7,000 compared to almost 10,000 this April. So nice increase. May, peak month there last month around 13,000. Here I had around almost 15,000. Month over month, or let's say year over year growth on a monthly basis. In June, however, I had a much bigger drop here from 10,000 to 8,000. But previous owner had like much bigger, let's say, fluctuation, that the highest peak and the lowest low was much bigger than what I have here. Like pretty much after the peak month in the summer, it sort of was stable. Now in autumn, it's slowly going down, but I expect it slowly to go back in November, December, and then have perhaps the peak months sometimes in spring. And I hope to have bigger peaks than what I have here. But even if it's something similar, I know that then that site will make around $1,000 a month or more, and I'll be very happy about it. So, but as you can see, there is a seasonality, right? Spring, May in particular, that's the highest peak month. That's when the birds, I guess, migrate back. Maybe people are extremely happy after the winter. They missed watching the birds in certain geography. So it seems that there's certain seasonality after January happening and then slowly creeping down. So that's just the nature of this niche. But overall, what I'm happy about is that, like I said, the overall traffic, I'm actually higher. I could do a little comparison. So this is a side-by-side comparison, comparing the last year's first 10 months and this year's first 10 months. So as you can see, overall I have 46% more users. Page per session, certain metrics has gone down, but overall I'm winning. Like I said, in June, probably the only month I'm actually lost compared to last year, but overall it's doing much better. So, I'm happy about it, and I'm actually looking forward to see higher increase, because I have a lot more content now and a lot of new content. So that content at some point should start ranking in the next 12 months and bring me a nice traffic bumps to my site. What are my learnings after owning the site for 10 months, and what are my plans for the future as well? So like I said, it's definitely seasonal, so the spring seems to be the highest months so far. I haven't owned it really for the full, let's say, cycle yet, but it seems like the spring is the highest month. Summer is sort of lower in traffic and potentially also lower in what people buy, how much money they spend. However, I'm still quite happy with the purchase. I've managed to increase the revenue, so that's good. I managed to keep the traffic stable. The overall yearly traffic is actually higher than it used to be before, so that's fine. What I learned that it's due to domain rating of this website, it is actually easily outranked. It's like some of my key articles that was winning, when I bought it, is right now definitely not winning. That is the bottom of like a second page, so it's not generating me as much traffic. So that means that this site is easily outranked. I need to constantly build links, improve the content, just do the constant work on it. It doesn't have solid positions, but that was expected. And still the highest RPMs in my whole portfolio. So basically the amount of revenue generates for the traffic it is actually quite astonishing. That means the audience that is visiting the site is actually quite high quality. The match is good. The right people are landing, and they're actually spending money on their hobby, that is bird watching. The final learning is that earnings fluctuate from Amazon and Ezoic not so much, but from Amazon especially due to traffic. But like I said, Ezoic sort of gives me a little bit of stabilization, because if I would only rely on Amazon affiliate earnings, the fluctuations would be even higher. So it's November. I didn't know what to do. I didn't have a strategy. I said, like, look, I'm gonna see how it goes. If it like skyrockets really high, I might just flip it. But as it had these fluctuations, right now I'm thinking I may sell it perhaps in January or February next year, or I may keep it, for the next high season and the next cycle, and perhaps sell it in the next year, spring. I'll see. But I'm definitely keeping it for the next 2 to 3 months, adding more content, adding more links, and trying to earn more revenue, increase the return on investment, and basically learn. Every single site provides me a lot of learnings. I learn about different niches, and most importantly, how to grow and manage these websites. So anyway, guys, I really hope you enjoyed this video. Please like, share, and subscribe. Please write down any comments, any questions you may have, so if you had any sort of moments where like, hey, wait a minute, can you explore that topic a little bit more, or like, can you elaborate on that particular question more? I'm happy to do that. I'm obviously gonna also answer every single question you have in the comments, but that will also give me ideas on what you guys actually want to see in my next videos. Like I said, this is actually the very first video, and I'm saying the word actually more than I should. However, you are learning by doing. I hope you enjoyed this video. Once again, I see you in the next video. Bye.